Hey everyone, imagine the audacity of someone crossing the Canadian border illegally, I might add, yet have such a sense of entitlement that they actually are willing to put up a fuss and create a stink about being denied having the Canadian tax serfs, the Canadian wage slaves in Canada, pony up for their babysitter of choice or for having daycare subsidies afforded to them. Like I say, what kind of entitled mindset do these people have? I mean, think if you were a genuine refugee, right? Someone that was fleeing, an oppressive state, which let me tell you, if you're in the U.S., no, you don't live in an oppressive state. Especially when you're talking about there compared to who? Right? Where are these bastions of freedom? Where are these countries that are so much freer than the U.S.? And why the hell why aren't these immigrants going to those countries, right? Anyways, but imagine trying to suggest that they have to first flee prosecution from U.S., right? Like I say, one of the freest countries, if not the freest country on the planet. Well, definitely, if you go by the rhetoric of their constitution, by far the freest country on the planet. But then to add insult to injury to suggest that Canada and the Canadian people, hey, you're supposed to take care of us, aren't you? Well, pony up. We want some free babysitting or we want some free daycare. And hey, since that's the kind of values that you promote and you're accepting us into your country, well, shouldn't we benefit the same? See, this is the problem with this goddamn bullshit pretense of equality, right? Without an actual understanding, a fundamental understanding of like any pretense of a social contract. I mean, the minute you can introduce a complete outsider into whether it's your family setting, your community setting, or your society or your country setting, the minute you can just bring in outsiders that have had no skin in the game prior to that point in time, and they feel as entitled to the kind of benefits that the Canadian taxpayers who have been forced to pay for all this giant welfare state and this bureaucratic nightmare that now is a modern socialist model in Canada. I mean, come on, folks. This is just not. This is nothing that I don't know where you could possibly be coming from to try to defend this shit. No, just be fucking thankful that you were allowed to cross an international border illegally and accepted. I mean, we've seen all the videos out there about all these fucking dumbass border security dipshits or the RCMP down there carrying their baggage and being all so kind and loving and caring and compassionate towards people that are breaking the law. Boy, they sure as fuck aren't too kind and compassionate to people that break the law. As far as we actual, real, genuine Canadians, they don't care about showing too much care and compassion under most situations or circumstances when you break the law. But for these illegal immigrants, somehow, I don't know, I guess they've been told by Trudeau, hey, put a big smile on, accept it, or hey, we'll send you to some other department, and trust me, you'll be even worse off there. So I guess they're like, well, I better do what I'm told, right? Bunch of fucking mindless order followers. Bunch of bootlickers. Don't even get me started on that. I mean, come on. Not only they're making a fuss and a big stink that the media's reporting on, they're actually taking legal steps, legal actions, which guess who's going to pay for all that? Yeah, you, the Canadian tax serf. You're going to pay for all that shit as well. Listen to this headline, folks, out of CBC News, Montreal. Asylum seekers file human rights complaint over lack of access to Quebec subsidized daycare. Without access to advanced tax credits or CPEs, claimants say they'll have to stay home to care for children. Oh no, you'll have to... What? You mean you'll have to deal with what the rest of Canada has to deal with? Because let me tell you, Quebec's the only province, thankfully so far, that has this socialist policy where you can take from certain peoples in society and give to others to subsidize their daycare. No wonder these asylum seekers are wanting to cross the border in Quebec. No wonder where that's the largest port of entry we're seeing for these so-called refugees. We know what that's all about. Economic migrants. Oh yeah, economic, all right. Yeah, plundering the purses and the wallets of the Canadian taxers. And once again, who's playing Mr. Benevolent but Trudeau out there? Is he paying for any of this shit? No. But look at him. He gets to put on the pretense, oh, I care so much about these people. Really? Come on. Trudeau don't give a flying rat's ass about any of these people. All he cares about is playing politics with your money, with your wallet, and your future productive income. 2 asylum seekers have filed a complaint with the Quebec Human Rights and Youth Rights Commission after being denied access to subsidized daycare. They say it prevents them from entering the workforce and beginning their lives in the province. Really? Geez, I wonder whatever happened to this country, or like countries like the U.S. where you didn't have a big gigantic welfare state, and somehow we all managed to get through our lives and actually have children, actually enter in the workforce. I mean, the boomers did it before they had all their big socialist initiatives and endeavors. The boomers, even those bunch of inept shits, of course it was a long time ago before they came so complacent, so inept, and so entitled to this particular junction. And yes, there are exceptions and outliers. I'm not saying all boomers are bad people, but come on, folks. But anyways, yeah. Apparently a lot of people, and then all throughout all of history, people somehow figured out a way to raise their children and provide for themselves at the same time without being able to use the big gigantic gun in the room, aka government, to force everyone else to pay for them. Like I say, if these people are already feeling this entitled and they barely set foot on our soil, yeah, think about what they'll do as far as affecting social and economic policy in this country. You need to start thinking about this stuff, Canada. Vladimir Mathieu came to Montreal from Haiti in June 2017 and is still waiting for his refugee status to be approved. While his daughter has a place in a Centre de la Petite Enfance, CBE, his son, who was born in Canada, was denied a spot by the same daycare. That's because Quebec's Families Ministry clarified the regulations in April, saying only those with refugee status can get a spot. A spokesperson for the ministry told CBC News some information that could have caused confusion was circulating before that date. The government is allowing those who got a spot in a CPE before April 10th to remain. If we don't find a solution, either I or my wife will have to stop working and stay at home with our son, says Mathieu in an interview on CBC's Montreal Daybreak Wednesday. Oh well! You know what your other option could be? Go the fuck back to wherever the fuck you came from and see how much better off you'll be there. Fucking bad enough you're already here. And you're complaining already? I mean, it's bad enough you've already broken the law to get here, and you're already being coddled and catered and taken care of in many ways that is at the mercy of the Canadian taxpayer that has not chosen to do it voluntarily. They're being forced to subsidize you, but you want even more, and if not, you're going to complain and run that through the system that's going to cost Canadian taxpayers even more money because, hey, why not, right? I suppose these asylum seekers, just like Justin Trudeau, these collectivists, these socialists, these communist dipshits in Canada that have now become so entitled and so out of touch with reality, I guess they all think the same, right? I guess money just grows the fuck on trees, and to be damned with anything that has anything to do with being fiscally or economically responsible and morally prudent enough to not use forced wealth and income redistribution as a means to an end. Anyways, folks, it's going to go on and talk about, these poor people, which you as a Canadian, I mean, think about the shit you've had to deal with in your life. And yet, you're supposed to not only deal with that and have one hand and one foot tied behind your back because of the social and economic policies that constrained you to such a large degree in this country, but yeah, while you're doing that and jumping around on one foot and trying to balance yourself, while you're supposed to show care and compassion for the people that are coming here with this kind of entitled mentality. Or the politicians or the political pundits or the media hacks that constantly try to use guilt, fear, and division to force you or to entice you and to open up your wallet or your children's wallet or your unborn grandchildren's wallet at this point to pay for all this mess. I say no, and I say it's damn time we stand up and show how vocal we are in opposing this kind of bullshit. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.